Thank you. Can I invite the Uganda Police Force Band to lead us in the anthem? Thank you very much, Uganda Police Force Band. We can take our seats. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, we would like to thank you so much for blessing this year's International Youth Day celebrations. Your Excellency, permit me to invite our religious leaders for today, Zako Joy and Aruma Muhammad, to come and lead us in a word of prayer. Zako Joy and Aruma Muhammad, kindly come and lead us in communicating the Almighty God to bless this occasion.
As we celebrate this great International Youth Day, may we humble ourselves before our Creator and pray. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. May all the praises and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of mankind, and all that exists, the owner of the day of reckoning. God, we thank you for this important day. You have given us the gift of life. You continue to protect your servants from the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh Lord, you alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight way, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not the way of those who earned your anger, nor of those who went astray. O Lord, we thank you for the continued guidance to our President of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Continue guiding him and his government to lead this nation towards prosperity and total independence. O Lord, His Excellency the President of this country has been once a youth like me and others. He used his youthful age very diligently and effectively. That's why today we are here celebrating this important day, as he is the leader of this nation. We pray that you guide all youths to take him as a mirror that will guide this nation, Uganda. Bless him with the gift of wisdom and courage to support the youth in fighting poverty. Oh Lord, you blessed this country with great population of youths. Help them to grow strength from you to fight back against the schemes of the evil. Surround them with people who will encourage them and build them upon, not those who will mislead and destroy their future. Give them the ability to support one another in building peace and stability of our country, and to participate positively in transforming our country from low-income earning to middle-income state. We pray for our leaders who are here with us present, the Vice President, the ministers present, the international dignitaries present. May God guide them and give them the best out of whatever they want on this earth and hereafter. As you brought us here safely, I pray that you bless us with good health and safe mercy, journey mercy back to our different destinations for God and my country. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Your Excellency, I'm Muhammad Ali Aluma. I head the Social Services Department at Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. Thank you.
We continue to pray on this important day in the lives of the young people. We are grateful to God for the gift of the young people of the world, and particularly the youth of Uganda, whom He has blessed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit to always listen to that silent voice of the Creator. We glorify God for the government of Uganda and all its people, specifically for the government for all the efforts of empowering the young people individually and collectively in order to empower them to find employment as they continue to eradicate poverty, promote peace, social inclusion, food security, and encouraging the young people to become change agents. To the church leaders, for promoting peaceful coexistence, harmony, and for protecting Mother Earth. To the parents, for being responsible and good role models to their children. We pray that God gives them the spirit of guidance and patience to understand the youth, the teachers and caregivers to be good leaders and people who promote morals within our communities. Like in the story of Prophet Daniel, Daniel chapter 6:23, we pray that God uses the young generation to give a new face to the world that has been ravaged by the corona pandemic as we continue to believe and trust in God. We pray this all in trusting and believing in Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Your Excellency, I am Zako Joyce, the National Youth Coordinator of Uganda Episcopal Conference. You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, the youth religious leaders, for those powerful prayers. We thank you. We can clap for them once again. Your Excellency, today, 12th August 2021, is International Youth Day. And in your wisdom, Your Excellency, you established youth councils in this country. Permit me, Your Excellency, to invite the leadership of the youth councils in this country to come and make a statement. Mr. Jacobo Eyeru, Chairman, National Youth Council of Uganda. You can clap better for the youth leadership in this country. Very powerful, very energetic. Thank you very much, Mr. Jacobo Eyeru.
Thank you so much, the Master of Ceremonies. Your Excellency, my name, for clarity of pronunciation, is Jacob Eyeru. And I want to thank the Master of Ceremonies for learning today. Your Excellency, before I start my address, I would like to introduce to you youth leaders here present. And I'll start with the youth members of parliament who are here present. Please wave to His Excellency. Your daughter Nyamutoro is clad in a bright yellow, very beautiful yellow there. Your Excellency, we have all the National Executive Committee members of the National Youth Council. Please rise and wave to His Excellency. The 11 of them are here with us. Your Excellency, we also have the East African Community Youth Ambassador for Uganda here. You're very welcome. Your Excellency, we have the leadership of the Uganda National Students Association, led by the President, Ezra Byakutangaza. Please wave to His Excellency. You're most welcome. Your Excellency, we have various civil society leaders that do a lot of work with young people. I'd like them to also wave to you so they can be seen. Please rise and wave to His Excellency. You're most welcome. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Cabinet and State Ministers here present, the Secretary General of the NRM Party, members of Parliament, the United Nations Resident Coordinator, and all dignitaries of the United Nations, National Executive Committee members of the National Youth Council, the East African Community Youth Ambassador, CSOs, civil society organizations here present, all youth from the various parts of Uganda, from Koboko to Manafwa, from Kabong to Kisoro. I greet you all in the name of our Lord and in the love of our country. Your Excellency, on behalf of the youth of Uganda, I wish to express our greatest appreciation for your acceptance to preside over this year's International Youth Day, even amidst the challenges of the pandemic. We are grateful as young people that your leadership has always spared time to give attention to young people in much detail and with necessary education. For a second year running, Your Excellency, we are unable to hold the mass gatherings of young people who would fill this place and need more space because of the restrictions that were necessary to control the spread of the pandemic. In the same regard, we wish to express our appreciation for your clear, exemplary, and steadfast leadership in the fight against the pandemic. Your Excellency, Uganda, a land-linked country, a country classified by some as LDC, is among those that have dealt with the pandemic in the best ways possible, and there has not been an apocalypse thanks to your leadership. Your Excellency, we also thank you for the ministers that you presented to the youth. The Cabinet Minister, Honorable Betty Amongi, is a great mentor to many young people and old people, we assume, because for us, 30 to 39 is old, and she has mentored even those. You also gave us the State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, who couldn't have been more fit for young people. To this day, we are still learning not to stand up when she walks in, because she has requested that we shouldn't. She's trying to be our colleague. Your Excellency, it has been the general consensus of the youth of Uganda that this International Youth Day appreciates all gallant sons and daughters of Uganda who ably represented us in the recently concluded Olympic Games held in Japan. Our congratulations go to our golden boys and girls, and we thank you, Your Excellency, for the gesture yesterday. We appeal to you, Your Excellency, to even support these young people more. As you could see, and as many could hear, Uganda's name was marketed. Our tourism went beyond our knowledge to the interests of the commentary team. Your Excellency, we believe that if you set up a high jump facility for the Karamojong who jump for culture, they could also bring in some medals in the near future. Your Excellency, the theme for this year's International Youth Day is Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Health, Human Health. That is the domesticated theme for our country. For Uganda, this is very timely for the expansion of the scope and potential of the agricultural sector and the food value chain to respond to the needs of our youth, while also requiring young people to be part and parcel of that undertaking. Through years of deliberate government effort, for Your Excellency, we can say through decades of your unwavering teaching about leaving the subsistent economy and joining the commercial one, Your Excellency, we are glad to now note that 39% is the figure in subsistence, down from 68% about 3 to 4 years ago. This leap provides new questions of how we can take advantage of greater population absorption of Your Excellency's consistent message of leaving the subsistent form of agriculture to now create more jobs and improve livelihoods using the food value chains of commercial agriculture. As such, young people should take up the challenge of being the future of agriculture through innovative models that safeguard agricultural output in new and better ways. The youth generation today has an unlimited potential in research capacity, provided by the NRM government's ICT infrastructure. And we can use this to spur the next front of agricultural advancement in Uganda. Innovative models don't always have to take the form of technology. Sometimes these come around as communal models. Young people don't own land in their areas of residence, but young people, through communal understanding, can be granted land on a rental basis of season in, season out harvest, not for ownership, but for participation in this food system. We think that this uptake and they becoming primary producers then puts them in the conversation of wealth creation, and we can then be able to take advantage of subsequent infrastructure to make sure that these young people can join the money economy. Your Excellency, the young man from Evander called Tony Ayebare runs a butcher online. He owns no pangas, pays no rent, but he just uses the internet that UCC says they monitor. That young man is an example of the innovation of how food systems can be what you said is another way of accessing jobs in the 4 sectors using one as ICT. Your Excellency, in the same vein, we request that you guide major government programs like Operation Wealth Creation and NADS to support youth leaders and community youth with skills training, seedlings, fertilizers, and animals for the achievement of the full transformative capacity of a sector on the youth population. Your Excellency, even though we are performing commendably, and perhaps some would add excellently, in the management of the pandemic, Ugandan youth have been very large recipients of the overwhelming effects of COVID. Youth entrepreneurship and businesses are largely of small and medium scale nature, relying on small loans, small capital, and hoping for a growing market. For many of these, the business environment became much more expensive due to necessary measures to curb the spread of the pandemic. But even that did not deter landlords to demand rent on return from lockdowns. Even that did not, Your Excellency, remind us to consider taxation rates and utility costs for these businesses. All this while markets shrank and purchasing power of the population fell low. The resultant, Your Excellency, was that SME businesses experienced major liquidity gaps. We request government to consider significant policy efforts to address the liquidity gaps that can support their survival and recoveries. Through Your Excellency's intervention, access to recovery financing can be made easier and shorter for SMEs. We also request enforcement of reservation clauses in the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act to reserve contracts at local government level for such SMEs. Secondly, Your Excellency, government on July 1st, 2021, replaced the OTT tax with a direct levy of 12% on internet data, after which a value-added tax of 18% would apply. Your Excellency, we appreciate the reconsideration of OTT tax and would like to add that we have received multiple voices of young people that have indicated that the 12% is still quite high and may limit interactions with internet services, affect distance education, online business and e-commerce, as well as research. Since ICT is one of the major sectors for job creation, we think cheap data and internet access can create the necessary boom in ICT innovations, development, and uptake for private sector job creation. We propose that, Your Excellency, government can consider a re-evaluation of the taxation just as government re-evaluated OTT for a win-win government revenue increase and internet access increase. In addition to these, Your Excellency, young people have experienced another pandemic within the pandemic. There has been a heartbreaking increase in the number of teenage pregnancies during the lockdown. These now account for 25% of all pregnancies in the country. Your Excellency, 27% is in the rural and 19% in urban areas, according to the Ministry of Education and Sports revised guidelines for 2020. Your Excellency, this means communities are not doing enough to pay attention to life skill necessities of young people, and we run the risk of having a very high dropout rate of especially the girl child if swift interventions are not taken at community level. Many NGOs attempting to deal with this matter have been run out of capacity. The Sexual and Reproductive Health Alliance, Reach a Hand, the AIDS Information Center have exploited their capacities. We think it's time that government disseminates quick guidelines of dealing with community management models to avoid teenage pregnancies and the effects thereafter. Your Excellency, we are aware of the existing various government initiatives to empower the youth. We thank you. Your Excellency, initiatives like the Yoga program, initiatives like the skilling program for ghetto youth under the State House Youth Desk. These, Your Excellency, may have challenges like the population of young people keep telling us through the media, but their impact on beneficiaries is unquestionable. However, Your Excellency, we need to bring to your attention some of the ideas we have observed in their execution. Firstly, youth from universities and other tertiary institutions are facing unique challenges which may not necessarily be adequately addressed by existing government interventions. We request, Your Excellency, that perhaps you study this with a committee, perhaps led by the Ministry of Gender, for that category of young people. We are happy to give input. The youth members of parliament are happy to give input so we can see if there is specific truth and facts-based necessity for that program. Your Excellency, we agree that there was need and there is still need to revise, reform, and revitalize the Youth Livelihood Program by incorporating the new lessons learned in order to reach out to various youth groups. As it stands now, Your Excellency, the country no longer has a youth-specific and focused intervention. Youth-specific and focused intervention. Since the Youth Livelihood Program recapitalization was temporarily halted, we are now not sure whether we can answer youth definitively when they ask about the program. We request that we can revisit the implementation model. It was very far at the sub-county. Can it come down at the parish and borrow best practice from the parish development model? We are happy for that. Your Excellency, we would like to thank you for accepting increased youth participation in all government programs from initiation to implementation. This will help identify bottlenecks in implementation, but also raise youth concerns to government. We hope that this is kick-started soon as you guided to the leadership of the Council and the members of Parliament. Your Excellency, the great leadership of young people at the district, municipal, and city youth councils have always had transport means to help them in monitoring and mobilizing youth for government programs. However, Your Excellency, with the new districts and the very wrecked nature of the old motorbikes, these youth leaders are no longer able to move around their districts. They also, Your Excellency, receive very low operational funds. We request Your Excellency for two things in this line. One, to support the acquisition of motorbikes, one per municipality, district, and city, would help go a long way in them trying to find this information for us to report better and go all the way up to Parliament and to Your Excellency. And to Your Excellency, there is continued advocacy for support of increment of conditional grants to district youth councils to increase their efficiency. I would have invited, except for time, my brother from Aleptong. He says they receive 200,000 per quarter. Your Excellency, it could get higher because of the prosperity you've led our country onto. As I conclude, Your Excellency, the leadership of the National Youth Council pledges to work with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, the youth members of Parliament, the East African Community Youth Ambassadors, and with all stakeholders that are relevant to young people to achieve greater youth development. I thank you, Your Excellency, but before I leave, I have three things that have been requested to present to you. Your Excellency, the Uganda National Students Association leadership have requested that they can find a meeting with you. They seem to have issues that they want to present before Your Excellency. I pray that you grant them that. Secondly, Your Excellency, there is a young man, because of a theme and your practice an exemplary talk of cattle keeping, who decided that they can design an art piece for you. And I'll request that the leader of the Bakash media group comes forward, along with the Vice Chairperson of the National Youth Council, the Secretary for Female Affairs of the National Youth Council, and the Secretary for External Relations, so they can present that award to you. You will just raise it, please, in the interest of time, you'll raise it before His Excellency, and he will receive it when we are sure it is safe for him to receive.
Dear viewers of UBC TV Inspiring Uganda, we are still coming to you live from Kololo Independence Grounds, and that was a statement from the National Youth Council Chairperson, Mr. Jacob Elweru. Now, sorry, Eyeru. I almost called him Elweru. Now, this year's theme, this year's national celebration to mark the International Youth Day is running under the theme Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health. You can imagine, you can see whoever that chose this theme is trying to say that youth have got to involve themselves into agriculture, and then how best the youth and the other people, the other population can preserve and conserve food security. Now, every year, Uganda joins the United Nations and the entire world to commemorate the International Youth Day, a day that was designated in 1999 after the General Assembly resolution endorsed the recommendation made during the Conference of Ministers of Youth, and that is in August 1998, that on every 12th of August will be the International Youth Day, and that is why we are here. And His Excellency the President is, of course, officiating at this year's International Youth Day. Right now, what you can see on your screen, His Excellency is being presented a gift by the Youth Council, as you can see there. Very memorable. Thank you for watching UBC TV and all other TV stations that are carrying us live from Kololo Independence Grounds. I'm called Dennis Blair Kalans. When you look at the theme for this year's celebration, Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health. In Uganda in particular, the youth constitute all over 70% of the population. That means a country needs to look for ways of how they can be involved in all these youth projects. There are so many youth projects like Myoga. Recently, Parliament sent members to go and check how, whether or not Myoga is working in favor of the youth and, of course, all the other population. They are yet to give us reports. That is His Excellency, of course, taking a picture with members that has just presented to him a gift from the National Youth Council.
And Your Excellency, we were only able to invite one, and I'll request the State Minister, the Cabinet Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, to come and provide the appreciation certificate to the immediate former chairperson on behalf of the entire outgone National Executive Committee members of the National Youth Council. The Executive Secretary of the National Youth Council should be nearby. And after that's done, Your Excellency, I'll request you to bear with them for also a photo session.
What is taking place right now is the handover of an appreciation certificate to the former chairperson of the National Youth Council, Honorable Lillian Abel. She is the current woman MP for Kitgum. She's the immediate former chairperson of the National Youth Council. Now I can see she's going to take a photo moment with His Excellency the President. The certificate was handed over, was presented to her by the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Betty Among. Now, the International Youth Day is designated by the United Nations for governments and partners to draw attention to issues surrounding the youth, their desires and their aspirations, and of course take stock of achievements, but also celebrate and recognize their contribution to the national development. As I've told you already, that in Uganda, the youth constitute over 70%. So if you do not involve them in the national development, then you're lying yourself. And that is why the president this time around has got so many youth ministers. And of course, our current parliament is full of young people. I can see here some of the youth member of parliament from different regions. We are still coming to you live from Kololo Independence Grounds. This is the International Youth Day celebration at Kololo.
I have been trained in how to pronounce it well. Jacobo Eyeru, the chairperson of the National Youth Council. Your Excellency, it will be good that you address people that you know. And I will try to recognize a few of the dignitaries who are here, who are very youth-friendly like you, who decided to join the youth in celebrating this International Youth Day. Your Excellency, permit me to recognize Her Excellency Jessica Arupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency, allow me to recognize His Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, His Lordship Richard Butera. Your Excellency, permit me to recognize Right Honorable Richard Todong, NRM Secretary General. Permit me to recognize Honorable Among Bet Ongom, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development. Permit me to recognize Honorable Peace Mutuzo, the Minister of State for Gender and Cultural Affairs. Permit me, Your Excellency, to recognize Honorable Nyira Bashis Sarah Mateke, Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs. Permit me, Your Excellency, to recognize Honorable Helen Asamo, the Minister of State for Disability. Your Excellency, permit me to recognize Honorable Jidudu Mafari, the Minister of State for Elderly. Permit me to recognize Honorable Mire Babirie, the name is Babirie, Babaranda, Minister for the Presidency. Permit me to recognize Your Excellency, Honorable Florence Nachuala Chingi, your Senior Presidential Advisor for Youth and Gender. Permit me to recognize the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Mr. Agre David Chibenge. For members of Parliament, permit me to recognize Honorable Fiona Nyamutoro, National Female Youth Member of Parliament. Permit me to recognize Honorable Agnes Chirabo, Youth Member of Parliament, Central Region. Permit me to recognize Honorable Edison Rugumayo, Youth MP for Western Region. Permit me to recognize Honorable Lilian Abe, Woman Member of Parliament, Kitugumu, and outgoing Chairperson of the National Youth Council. Permit me to recognize representative of religious leaders, the two young people who prayed for us, Mr. Mohammed Aruma and Joy Zako. Under the service chiefs, permit me, Your Excellency, to recognize Assistant Inspector General of Police, Jack Kabashumba, representing the Uganda Police Force. Permit me once again to recognize the presence of the leadership of the National Youth Council of Uganda. Could you kindly stand up and wave to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda? Permit me to recognize the leadership of Uganda National Students Association, WUNSA. Kindly stand up, led by Byakutangaza Ezra. District youth leaders, can you stand up for recognition if you know you are a district youth leader? Permit me, Your Excellency, we work closely as a ministry with the UN fraternity. Permit me, Your Excellency, to recognize the presence of the new resident coordinator of the UN, Her Excellency Susan Ngoji Namondo. Your Excellency, my name is Mondo, but Her Excellency is Namondo. I thought I'd make that very clear. Your Excellency, permit me to recognize the Assistant Country Representative, UNFPA, Mr. Edison Muhwezi. Permit me, Your Excellency, to recognize a representative of USAID, Family Planning Activity, Mr. Dennis Chibora. Allow me to recognize the UNDP country representative, Mama Elsie Atafua. Allow me to recognize Mr. Stephen Opio, the ILO Chief Technical Advisor and Officer in charge. Allow me to recognize Dr. Antonio Querido, the FAO resident representative in Uganda. Permit me to recognize Dr. Moni Salfildin, the UNICEF representative to Uganda. Permit me to recognize Your Excellency, Dr. Alexander Chimbalu, World Health Organization rep in Uganda. And permit me to recognize Mr. Sanusi Tejan Savage, IOM, Chief of Mission in Uganda. Permit me, Your Excellency, I had left out two youth members of parliament who have joined us. Honorable Okot Boniface, youth member of parliament, Northern Uganda, and Honorable Odoi Bernard, youth member of parliament, Eastern region. Permit me to recognize Your Excellency, civil society organization. Civil society, kindly stand up and wave to His Excellency, the President. Let me not forget my own. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development Fraternity, wave to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Permit me now to invite the UN Resident Coordinator, Her Excellency Susan Ngoji Namondo, to come and make a statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. My namesake. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Honorable Ministers, all young people, the reason for which we celebrate today, development partners, my UN colleagues, representatives from the civil society and private sector, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the United Nations in Uganda, I am delighted to participate in this national commemoration of International Youth Day. This is the first national commemoration I am participating in since recently taking up my duties as UN Resident Coordinator in Uganda. I am particularly happy to be celebrating Youth Day today, and especially because Uganda is such a youthful country. As the MC reminded us, a full 23, almost 25% of the 18 to 30 of the population is a youth. From 18 to 30, about 25%. But a full 75% of the population is below the age of 30. This youthful population presents a lot of opportunities for transforming Uganda. If we all work harder and together to provide the solid foundation that supports them towards the full expression of their potential. We have been celebrating Youth Day since 1999, and the day was created to draw attention to issues surrounding youth, supporting their desires and aspirations, celebrating and recognizing their contributions towards our collective national development. In this year's theme, Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health, is particularly relevant for Uganda, as the previous speaker noted. Food system refers to all those activities along the food chain, from production to processing to transportation and consumption of food. Food systems touch every aspect of our human existence. The health of our food systems affects the health of our bodies, our health, and our environment, our economies, and our cultures. When food systems function well, they have the power to be valuable instruments of change and bring us together as families, communities, and nations. A healthy food system is determined by the state of the natural environment, the socio-cultural context, the economic context, policies, and institutional capacity. A healthy food system contributes to achieving our common aspirations of Agenda 2030 and helps the main aim to achieve shared prosperity for all while protecting the planet, promoting prosperity, and sustaining transformational partnerships. Uganda is generally self-sufficient in meeting the food needs of the population. However, food shortages still occur in pockets of the population, and indicating that the food system still has some gaps. These gaps, of course, are attributed to a broad set of issues, including the limited use of appropriate agricultural technology, over-dependence on rain-fed agriculture, lack of markets and market information, inadequate rural financial services, inadequate storage and processing facilities, food sales, and inadequate buffer stocks. According to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, food shortages are further exacerbated by low incomes, natural disasters such as floods and droughts and landslides. As a consequence, my understanding is 12% of the population of Uganda experiences chronic food insecurity. And of course, women and children are the most affected. According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Uganda is experiencing multiple layers of malnutrition among these groups, including a stunting prevalence of 29% and iron deficiency anemia of 53% among children under 5. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the situation. Globally, we know that the pandemic has triggered an 18% increase of hunger worldwide. I don't know what the figure is for Uganda, but it is reasonable to assume that it has triggered an increase of hunger here too. Your Excellency, the United Nations system in Uganda, through the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework 2021 to 2025, which you launched last year, supports several innovations that support youth in contributing to transformation of food systems and in sustainable human health. Permit me to highlight a few of these initiatives. The first is the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry, and Fisheries, is implementing the Youth Inspiring Youth Initiative. The Youth Inspiring Youth Initiative aims at creating and promoting youth employment in the agricultural sector by fostering role models of youth agripreneurs in different districts. The UN, through FAO, would like to promote these youth champions, role models, to become significant Uganda agribusiness investors in their respective districts. Currently, FAO is scaling up the Youth Inspiring Youth Initiative to promote a national youth mentorship program by identifying at least 2 youth agripreneurs per district who can be targeted to collaborate with all stakeholders in providing the necessary mentorship and coaching to fellow youth in agribusiness. This model can be expanded to establishing youth agripreneurs who can act as role models at parish level. These youth champions at parish level could be instrumental in the implementation of the new government parish development model. The second I'll highlight is the United Nations Development Program, supporting Youth for Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship Facility. And the aim of this is to help youth-led enterprises recover from COVID-19, with a focus on driving innovation in tourism, agriculture, food, and the food system sector, among others. The 5-year initiative has provided an initial $10 million grant combined with technical assistance as well as concessional loans to provide flexible funding mechanism to stimulate recovery of micro, small, and medium enterprises from some of the social and economic shocks born from COVID-19. The initiative is expected to create at least 20,000 new jobs for youth, retool and skill 50,000 youth, and have a multiplier effect through the creation of more than 100,000 indirect jobs. We encourage youth who are listening, visit www.ug.undp.org and apply for these opportunities. And the third I would mention is the International Labour Organization, working with the private sector and local governments of Arua, Madiokolo, and Terego districts to strengthen cassava and sesame value chains and improve economic opportunities for 5,000 refugees and host the community members, the majority of whom are youth. The ILO has selected 10 lead enterprises with innovative business models in the 2 value chains who will receive about $30,000 grant each for 1 year and tailored business development services. The youth will be skilled as agri-entrepreneurs, both in production and service provision, supported to access new technologies and knowledge to seize economic opportunities created by the 10 local enterprises through backward and forward linkages. And the fourth I would mention is in response also to the reduction of food rations and to mitigate the effects of COVID-19, the UN Refugee Agency works with partners to support refugee households, about 60% of whom are headed by women. And in the areas where the provision of land through the government permits, UNHCR works with district local governments and other value chain actors to promote commercial farming, thus enabling refugees and their hosts to increase earning from farming. And last but not least, I will also mention the work of our agency, the UN Population Fund. Through them, they have been working with farmer groups and extension workers, making sure that there is greater access to services that respond to gender-based violence and family planning needs of the youth. And we know this is a key concern of young people, as my previous speaker also mentioned. And last but not least, I would like to also express thanks to the broader community of development partners. As everybody knows, the United Nations, unlike a government, cannot levy taxes and has no independent sources of income. So we're dependent on everybody who contributes financially for this work to be done. And perhaps to mention, also including the government of Uganda, of course, especially when I think about the work we do in refugees, but the broader family that makes this work possible. And as I conclude, on behalf of the United Nations system, I would like to reiterate our continued commitment to work with the government and people of Uganda. We recently agreed with the government on the areas where the United Nations and government of Uganda collaboration would be most profitable as regards Uganda's development plans. Our planned UN areas of contribution are elaborated through our joint instrument of the UN Sustainable Development Framework 2021-2025. And even though these are further elaborated in the planning instruments of the agencies, the mother document is the cooperation framework. And this cooperation framework directly complements the third National Development Plan and the Uganda Vision 2040. We are very thankful for the confidence and trust we enjoy with the government, and we look forward to contributing towards the substantial progress of all our common development goals. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And that clapping was not enough, especially for the last sentences. The commitment to continue working with us to ensure that we transform this country. We thank you, the UN fraternity, for doing a good job. And if Charles Dickens was here, he would say, we want some more. We want some more because we are not yet there. We were not where we were yesterday, but we are not where we want to be. Thank you very much, Your Excellency Namondo. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I have worked myself out of the job. It has been me, Chateka Mondo. I've been Assistant Director of Ceremonies. I work at Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development as Assistant Commissioner in the Department of Youth and Children Affairs. There is the bigger drum that is coming, but before that, Your Excellency, allow me to recognize a young person I had skipped, who is extremely amazing and has helped us enormously in organizing for this year's International Youth Day. This lady, Valentine Agwanga, she's yours presidential assistant and head of the youth desk at State House. She has done amazing work. Kindly wave to His Excellency and wave to everybody once again. Your Excellency, it is now my rare and singular pleasure to invite Honorable Nyirawashis Sarah Mateke, Woman MP, Chisoro, and Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs to take over to direct the rest of the ceremony. Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, my co-MC. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, Honorable Ministers here and Ministers of State, Right Honorable Secretary General of our mighty party, NRM, Honorable Members of Parliament who are here, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Gender, Your Excellency, the UN Resident Coordinator and the entire UN fraternity, the Chairperson, National Youth Council of Uganda, and other youth leaders, UNSA, religious leaders, service chiefs, senior government officials, members of the civil society organizations, the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, I want to bring warm greetings from Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, and the youth of Uganda. Your Excellency, we want to thank you in a special way for creating time to preside over this function, and to thank you for sparing your time to come and not only presiding, but even funding the function. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, on such a day as we make a reflection, a recollection, and audit of what our youth have done and where we have reached, we really want to thank you because you have boosted our youth to reach where we have reached. And we want to thank you in a special way for the opportunity you gave us on 10th August as I led the delegation of the young people in State House. We want to thank you for the several encouragements and guidance that you gave us, and we took into cognizance the need to truly understand and embrace the 4 sectors that are key drivers for the socio-economic transformation and the provision of employment, thus commercial agriculture, ICT, the service sector, and industry. Your Excellency, with the leadership of National Youth Council, we are ready to start on what you took us through. I'll not talk a lot. I'm just here as an MC, and I'll take this opportunity to welcome my senior colleague, Honorable Amongi Betty Ongom, to come and make her statement and welcome the President to address the nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Excellency, the Vice President, Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, Honorable Ministers, the Secretary General of the NRM Party, the Honorable Members of Parliament, Chairperson, National Youth Council, and your executive, the UN Resident Coordinator, and the entire UN fraternity, civil society and partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, on behalf of the 6 of us, the ministers from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Your Excellency, to register our appreciation for the deployment and appointing us to this very important ministry that is dubbed the People's Ministry. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My colleagues have been introduced. I want to register apology from Honorable Charles Okele-Ngola, who is the Minister of State in charge of Labor and Employment, is in the constituency on a Myoga monitoring program. Your Excellency, I would like to thank you and all Ugandans for joining the rest of the world in commemorating this year's International Youth Day. I specifically take the opportunity to salute the young people of this country as we mark and celebrate their potential, numerical strength, and their hope. As already indicated, the youth between 18 to 30 years now constitute 25%, with a total population of about 9.5 million. Those between 15 to 24 years, about 7.310 million, constituting 77%, and those below 30 years, constituting 78%. This surge in the population of young people is due to a fall in the infant and child mortality rates arising out of the NRM immunization program, which you have championed, Your Excellency. So it means many people are now born and they live for some time, and those who are born most of them will not die at infant level. The other rationale, Your Excellency, is also increased infertility rates, where it's estimated that about 1.2 million children are born every year, with the increase in population standing at about 3%. So I think Ugandan women are still not hearing UNFPA. I don't know whether UNFPA is here, but that is our fertility rate. Further, Your Excellency, the current UNFPA statistics still indicates that 64% of the young people between 15 to 29 years are engaged in some form of employment, which is good for us. Of these, 54% are female engaged in some form of employment and 55.1% male. The statistic also indicates that 78% of those between 13 to 18 years are attending school, because school and skilling remains very vital for our youth. And it's estimated that the literacy rate for this young category stands at 90.72% among the young people. So majority of our young people can read or write and are able to engage at least in some form of businesses. Your Excellency, this year's theme dubbed Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health is crucial because it focuses on what defines and sustains the majority of the young people, since it's estimated that 80% of this youth lives in rural area and therefore live majorly depending on agriculture. The interests and the needs of the youthful generation are important to us as a ministry in charge of youth, not because they are many, but because they are entitled to decent work and livelihoods as well as healthy lives. Although we still live in a challenging and emerging challenges of ecological stress and the effects of environmental and climate change, youth are still doing all they can to survive and to live a happy and healthier life. This year's theme, Your Excellency, also enjoins us to examine the strategic role of youth in ensuring balanced diversity and biodiversity, so that we can ensure food security and good health. We are reminded to ensure that youth continue to amplify individual and collective efforts to restore the planet, protect life, integrating biodiversity, and transforming food system in the entire ecosystem. And Your Excellency, you guided the Cabinet recently on the need for us to ensure that the youth in the countryside are guided on how to ensure production in a sustainable manner. This is important, and if you look critically, the way food is being produced, processed, distributed, consumed, requires intervention, and Your Excellency, with the parish development model and the government policy on value addition through agricultural production, the youth will be able to, in the context of this year's theme, be able to be guided by the ministry in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water and Environment, to focus on a sustainable way of food system and ecosystem. We want to applaud government for offering environment for the youth to strive. Your Excellency, the UN Resident Coordinator, has indicated some of the innovation the youth has undertaken in the areas of agriculture, and I want to add that there are some very, very important innovations that through the Ministry of ICT, with partnership with other organizations, that are very important. I want to highlight a few of them. There is an application called Chilimo Salama. This one provides farmers with an updated climate data, and it has been developed by young people that you are able to use your phone, download, and you will know the weather pattern if you want to produce any type of seeds. There's Vet Africa. This one helps to diagnose livestock diseases. And in this, you can also order online for any veterinary services that you require. It also shows you where you can purchase genuine veterinary medicine. There's Act for Agric, supported by South Korea, and brings together young people from Uganda and South Korea, innovators, developers, and farmers, and they use still mobile technology to help the farmers. There's Easy Agric, which provides Uganda farmers with information about best practices in agriculture through their mobile phones. And the agents uses the application to help farmers determine the amount of seeds they need per acre of land. And this particular application, when you download as a farmer, you will see what you have grown. You can sell through the application, which is creating a bridge between the producers and the buyers. Those few examples, Your Excellency, plus those articulated by the UN Resident Coordinator, indicates that young people are not only people who are watching, they are people who are participating in innovation for food systems and ensuring that they are not only where most youth will say, we are the future leaders. No, I think the youth are leaders of today. And Uganda is one of those countries in Africa, Your Excellency, that has the most empowered youth right from the village up to the national level. So, Your Excellency, youth are participating in the development of this country. In recognition of some of the challenges that still exist, like unemployment, inadequate employable skills, expensive capital, limited access to financial services, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, with support from yourself, Your Excellency, and the government, has been undertaking several projects. The Chairperson, National Youth Council, articulated some of them, the youth livelihood programs. We have so far spent 1.65 billion and financed 20,361 youth projects that has benefited 24,045 youth, of which 46% in agriculture. The Youth Venture Capital Fund, where 43,627 youth enterprises have been supported, 20.2% in agricultural-related businesses. Your Excellency, equally under the Uganda Women's Entrepreneurs Program, 180,914 women in 15,294 groups have received funding for projects now to a tune of 96.1 billion. Nearly 40% have gone to young women. Under externalization of labor, 16,750 persons, majority young, get employment in the Middle East over the last year and remit $9 million per year to this economy. Your Excellency, we shall soon come to you to brief you on proposals in respect to improving externalization of labor. Your Excellency, we shall also be coming to you with proposal on strengthening the National Youth Council to deliver better, revitalizing the Youth Livelihood Program, and launching the National Youth Service Scheme, which is a true game changer in ideology and mindset change. As we celebrate today, Your Excellency, youth from the rest of the country could not be here, but Your Excellency, we invited a few of them to represent some of the youth from the grassroots who couldn't make it. And I want to recognize the youth chairperson from Kampala Central Division, where we are, Madame Proscovia Karunji. She's there. That is the youth chairperson hosting us today. Your Excellency, Entebbe Municipality Houses, State House, we felt that also we should invite Hassan Chikomeko. I hope I have tried the pronunciation. There he is a youth chairperson in Entebbe Municipality. Our neighbor from Wakiso, Kaziwe Ibrahim, is also a youth councillor. And lastly, Namere Justin, who is the youth mobilizer for the Greater Masaka, who also has been invited here. Your Excellency, as I conclude, I want to thank you, Your Excellency, for the guidance, the steadfastness that you have focused especially in supporting the youth, the persons with disability, the elderly, the women, and your commitment that when we come back to Cabinet, requesting that these entities are not merged, they remain independent because they are entities that represent interest groups whose political ideology, whose mobilization are distinct, and they respond to specific groups of people in society. And rightly put, they are not agency that consumes a lot of money. And we shall come with that, and I know you will support us with that, Your Excellency. I request that you address the people of Uganda, especially the young people. You're welcome.
Her Excellency Vice President, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice, the Honorable Ministers, the UN fraternity, the youth leaders, and all the youth in the country. We really need to stop wasting time and be clear. The youth will help themselves if everybody understands that you must be youth who are engaged in production. That should be clear. As somebody said, I am a former youth, so I don't need any lectures about youth. I was a productive youth from age of 4. I was a cattle keeper. Some of the youth were in the crops. Some of the youth were in fisheries. At that time, in the 1940s, 50s, we do not have many Africans in trade. We used to see the Indians, they were the ones in the trade, in trading. But please, if you want to help the youth, tell everybody must target to be in the 4 sectors. If you discover a 5th sector, which I keep forgetting, you tell me. Same some 70, there's a sector you forgot. The 4 sectors are commercial, agriculture. Please, if you can, be in commercial agriculture. Because when you come here, you make speeches, you really exhaust yourselves with speeches. Number 1, commercial agriculture. Number 2, industries, factories, big or small factories. Number 3, repeated the sectors well. Number 3, services. These borders, transport, roasting women's hair. You call it hair salon or what? Because I'm translating from Runyankore. Runyankore we say, Okotiama Shoki. That's what we say in Runyankore. So you can put it, okay, let's say grooming the hair. The hair salons, that's a service. Medical, lawyers, witch doctors, religious leaders, all those are providing a service. Then number 4, which is a new sector, ICT. So please, you the youth leaders, be very clear, don't be polite, because you are going to kill your people. When I was growing up, I saw some of my colleagues staying in Mbarara town, that they are learning how to dance with girls. How to turn girls around and you. This is not a sector of work. When we would go for holidays, I would go to look after my father's cows. These children would stay in Mbarara, that they are learning how to dance. And I can tell you, when you audit what happened to those children, although me, I had a very rough, because I became political. By becoming political, I became a target of the regimes, and I had to go away. But you find that me, who was like a vagabond, going away, running for, but the little time I spent, I was able to put something on the ground, which is there. And even if I had died, my people would have benefited from it. So please, stop being polite to people who are not working. The sectors are 4. If for some reason, because of course some of the children have bad parentage, their parents were irresponsible, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, and you find they may not have where to start. Some are immigrants from other countries who came. They may not have a foundation. But let them be clear that I don't have the foundation, I need to get the foundation. And then our funds, the ones we have, we should be able to help those to get a foundation. Like, for instance, those who want to buy land, if somebody doesn't have land, where can he borrow money to buy 2-3 acres of land? Because you remember, I have told you, with 4 acres, or even with 2, even with 1, you can be very, very prosperous, as I have shown you so many examples. So, this is number 1. The 5th sector, which keeps confusing a lot of people, is the public service, government jobs. But those are few. They cannot accommodate the 42 million people in Uganda, because the public service jobs, including the army and police, I think there are about 480,000. Now, if you assume that each public servant has got 5 people behind him in the home who are depending on him, you are talking about 2-3 million people benefiting from the public service, able to benefit from public service jobs at any one time. Just 2 million, 2 point something million. But this is out of 42 million. So, all my children have finished education. My children, they finished education long ago. None of them is in the government, is in the public service, except Mhozi, who is in the army, because he loves the army. But all the others are engaged in production, private sector. So don't spend so much time with fighting for public service jobs. If there is a public service job, good, you do it if it's available for some, if it's available. But they are not enough. And even if you get a job yourself, how about your other followers? You the youth leaders, for instance, even if you are to get a job, RDC, Deputy RDC, how many RDCs are there? 147. Even if you put the deputies, that's 200 jobs. How can those be enough? So therefore, please, in our advocacy, talking, be clear that the wealth and the jobs are mainly to be found in the 4 sectors. I don't know, you work with the UN, they can tell you whether there's a 5th sector, which I've forgotten. They are here, the United Nations, Amawanga Amagati. If they say where they come from, if they say that old man forgot a sector, then I will come and apologize. And I will say, Wanange, nerabira waliwo akabondo, akokutano. But the sectors, wealth creation sectors are 4. Please, let's not beat about the bush. Go. If you don't have struggle to enter one of them. And now, so this has been our orientation from the beginning, the NRM. Because for us, we are not theater goers, we are not actors, we are doers. We only talk and do. And what we talk is what we do. And from the beginning, we were very clear. Maybe our advocacy is not very efficient, so some people may get confused sometimes. But our vision is cohesive and all linked. With the youth, because the other day I was giving medals here, I was receiving medals from these young people who went to Japan, and they won medals. And then somebody, I saw somebody writing in the papers that Uganda had got medals by miracle. Miracle, echamagero. Miracle. These medals were not by miracle. Like these children from Sebei, our mountain region, who won many of the medals, the main element in their medals is peace, which we brought to their area. Because the area, they have been there in the mountains all this time. Even in the past, 1968, there's one of them who won a medal, Koskei. He won a silver for something. But on the Kenyan side, because they had peace, they were winning medals. Kipchoge, Keino, many from the same group, but on the other side. But on our side, they couldn't do anything because they were in lack of peace. Cattle rustling, what have you. So they had no time to run and to practice. So the first contribution to the youth in Uganda, which everybody should know, is peace and security. This is number one, which the NRM has been able to ensure. And some people wanted to disturb the peace. You saw them last time when we were having elections here. They were actually talking about it. We shall make Uganda ungovernable. Ungovernable. Under Yoweri Museveni's leadership. It's a risky undertaking. We shall not tolerate it. We shall crush it. Nobody can make Uganda ungovernable. Anybody who thinks like that time is finished. Because we have spent almost 60 years building capacity. 60 years we have been building capacity. As a student movement in the 1960s, on and on and on. So this is the biggest contribution to the youth: security, security, security. All those who waste time, run around, go to Congo, go to South Sudan, go to I don't know where, you are wasting time. And you may lose your life in those adventures. Come back home and stop wasting your time. If you want to make trouble, go to other places. Afghanistan, there are a lot of other addresses where you can go. But here, please. So this is number one, the youth. Support peace, all of you. If you hear anybody talking language of fujo fujo, tell him off and advise him to stop. So this was the first contribution, and it's there. When there was insecurity in the north, you saw what happened. That was because of the geopolitics, the problem of the Sudan. The big battle there between the Africans and people who say they are Arabs. When you look at them, are you an Arab? You look like an African. You know, I'm an Arab. Okay, that's your business. There was that war going on in the Sudan. So it's affected the north because the Sudan government was promoting insurgency there that they want to intimidate us. But of course, it couldn't work. So our first contribution is peace and security to the youth and to all the adults. Second one is immunization. Immunization. That's why you talk of the big population. Ugandans did not learn to marry women during the time of NRM. Even before they were polygamists, they were what? But where were the children going? Why was the population not increasing? I remember the population at independence was 7 million. Then, of course, we had a lot of, we had a census in 1969. I think the population at that time was like 9 million. You can look at the census of 1969. Then we never had another census until 1980. That's when they said the population was 12 million. Then when we came from the bush, in 1991, when we had the census, it was 16 million. Now it is 42 million. So in this time of the NRM, the population has increased more than 2 times. Why? Because of mainly immunization. Then after immunization, UPE, USE, universal primary education, universal secondary education. This program started almost 20 years ago, but they are not fully implemented. Why? Because of the parasite groups in our society. The headmasters wants to get some little money, then they collude with the, what they call it, this parents, PTA, where there are some local traders selling kaunga. These are the ones who want children to pay money for porridge, I don't know for what. So you, the youth leadership, fight this. Remove money from government schools so that children study free, whether they are from poor families or not. Why is it difficult to do that? I want to find out from you people. Eyeru, what do you say about that? You come and tell us on the microphone. Are you going to, you come with your executive. Come, all of you. Don't hide behind there. Come and they photograph you properly. You tell me why we cannot fully implement free education, no money. Children just go and study. Because what I had from 96, what I wanted was the family only buys uniform. Even the uniform I didn't support. I didn't care about the uniform. I thought anybody could come with whatever you have. You come and study, even with the back cloth. But I was told uniform is important because these stupid old men who spoil young girls, if they see this old man taking a kagaro in uniform in a lodge, then he will be arrested. So I accepted uniform as a protection for the girls. That when a child is putting on uniform, when people are trying to mess her up, it will be seen. But me, I actually didn't care about uniform. I wanted everybody to come, the way you are dressed, study. But on the uniform, I had to concede because of that argument of the protecting the girl child. The other thing from the family should be exercise book and pen. And then the family should okusiba entanda, peko. Peko. What do we call entanda in Ateso? The food you carry. That man doesn't know any Ateso.
Excellency, I'm not aware of it.
Vice President, help us, please. Give her a microphone where she is. Let them bring a microphone to you there. VP, you stay there, they will bring the uniform, the microphone. Big people should not move around too much. What do you call the packed food which you go with on a journey? It's Sentanda in the Bantu dialects, and it is Peko. Have I got it right? Peko? Peke? 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 Uh-huh. Now let's get it in Ateso.
Your Excellency, in Ateso, we have no specific word for it, but we call it Inyamat.
This needs technical assistance. we shall give them entanda as. Okay, and in Lugubara, sit down.
Thank you.
Lugubara. Lugubara.
No, I speak Madi and we call it Order.
Where is Madi? It's called?
It's called Order.
Order?
Yes.
And Lugubara?
I don't know.
We must have a Lugubara here. You people have never seen how Lugubara look like. There is one specimen here. Come.
That's what he was saying.
Introduce yourself and your credentials as a Lugubara. Who are you?
Your Excellency, I'm called Tolea Franco. I'm Assistant Commissioner, Children Affairs, Ministry of Gender, Labor.
Oh, this is a big one, a big Lugubara now.
Your Excellency, in Lugubara, it is called Igbeku.
It's called what?
Igbeku.
Ejaku.
Igbeku.
Ideku.
Igbeku.
Igeku.
It is I, G, K, U.
Igeku.
Igbeku.
Igeku, okay. So now, my strategy on free education is that from 1996-7 was that no money should be paid in the government schools, and the parents should only provide uniform, book and pencil and pen and pencil, and Ijeku. That's what. Otherwise, let the children study free. But these people have been bringing back money. They bring back money from here. So the youth movement, what do you say about that? And when I say, can the families afford or not, you can't get an answer.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The youth movement believes in the need to have high literacy, and we believe that access to that high literacy level comes from free education. In fact, Your Excellency, it's one of our strongest advocacy points to check all levels of political leadership to put their feet down for free education that comes without corruption.
Fine. So that's thank you very much. You go and sit down. We shall talk more in detail. So, in terms of empowering the youth, we need to remove money charges from all government schools. The UPE school, they are the schools of the rich, the Buddhas, the what, those can charge if they want. But for the rural schools and some of the schools in the poor parts of the towns, there should be no charge. In the schools of Kampala, at one time we had compromised that maybe because for them they use electricity, they have water, that maybe the parents could pay for those, for the water, for the urban schools. Therefore, I use this occasion to call on the youth movement and youth members of parliament and youth leaders in the whole country to defend free education. Kick out these parasites who have long turned education into business. Education is not a business. It is an empowerment effort. And if the government is meeting the costs of paying the teachers, the cost of building schools, the classrooms, of building the teachers' houses, of building the laboratories, what is the money for? They are looking for how to get money. Those local elite. We are paying extra teachers. Don't pay extra teachers. You keep the teachers you have there. Don't bring extra ones. Oh, we are this one. All these excuses. So that is the contribution of the NRM, which has somewhat been interfered with by the local parasite elements. BTVET. So once the youth have peace, they have immunization, they have got free education under UPE and USE, then the next one are so they have literacy and numeracy, which is what the minister was talking about, 95%, 92%. What they now need is skills now. Skills. Literacy plus skills. BTVET. That's why we introduced BTVET, business and vocational training. So let the youth leaders be very clear on this. The youth has peace, law and order. He or she is immunized. He gets free education. If he's not rich, if you are rich, there are private schools. You go and pay in the private schools. And the expensive government schools. But the children of the poor, let them go to the free education schools. And they get literacy and numeracy. And then BTVET, skills, vocation or business training. If you do this, this youth will be really empowered. All these policies are in place, but they need to be pushed. I am always fighting the system. The system is against all this. They want money from the poor families. Bring money for lunch, money for latrine, Omururu. Lack of patriotism. They don't care about these poor people of theirs. They just want money. And the political system allows them. The MP in the area doesn't say anything. Because when I was young, I was mobilizing the I'm healthy. I have got education and I've got a skill, but I don't know how to start. I don't know how to start. I don't have capital. Oh, then we come to parliament because there is a government, NRM government, cabinet, parliament. Come to parliament, please. instead of traveling to go to Europe to benchmark, let's put as much money as possible into the wealth funds so that these youth have where to start in case somebody wants to start but has no capital. And I was just my calculator here. I was calculating if we put like 100 million shillings in each parish, that would be for 10,000 parishes in Uganda. That would be like 1 trillion. 1 trillion is enough to put 100 million shillings in each parish, where the youth, but also the other people can go and borrow, do something, pay back. And we can build up this capital. If we put 1 trillion each year, 1 trillion, 1 trillion, in 5 years it will be 5 trillion. That's too much money. Anybody who wants to borrow at low interest and pay back and do what he wants to do would be able to access money. So here the issue is the political class don't dish for yourself from the saucepan first. To dish putting on your plate. First, let these poor people get entirely capital. If we can have like 1 trillion each year, 5 trillion in 5 years, all these children will get capital because in 5 years, a parish will be having 500 million shillings in their parish as their revolving fund. Then, once we deal with the wealth funds, because remember these wealth funds are mainly for the children of the poor. The rich can borrow from banks. If I want money, I will not come to borrow from this parish branch, SACCO. I go to the bank and borrow because there are those who are able, who don't have to compete for this money. So this money is specifically for the poor families. Now the next effort then is infrastructure. Once you deal with the wealth funds, the next effort is infrastructure, the roads, the electricity, the irrigation, the piped water. That is done collectively by the government for the whole population. So this is the way forward. The skeleton is there, but let the youth support it. When we come to resource allocation, be very, very, very firm. Anybody who's trying to divert money to benchmark, to I don't know who do what, increase salaries of people who already have something. No, please, let's start with the Abanaku. Start with the poor people. Be very firm. This is the way. Then, of course, I will come to your theme, the theme of this year. I will come to it. Now, on the issue of the corona, people are talking about the businesses which have collapsed, talking about this problem, that problem, the rent. But the big problem is to survive. Our big problem is to survive. Is people not to die on a big scale. You have heard that in the US, 600,000 people have died. 600,000 people. 600,000 people is like all the Sabine dying. Because the Sabine are like 500,000, so you can imagine 600,000 people died in the US. The other day, I was saying goodbye to the ambassador of Sweden. I asked him, how many people died in your country? 14,000. In a country like Sweden, which is only, whose population is like 20% of the population of Uganda. But here, we had managed to control death until beginning of May, when only 300 people had died from the beginning of the crisis. But because of the empaka, everybody, many cooks spoiled the broth. And in discipline, with the second wave, the death rate now went to almost 3,000, I think, now. So the struggle this time has been to survive. Other things will be damaged, businesses will collapse. You will be chased out of houses, but people should not die. Now, before the corona crisis, I was having contacts with the very powerful groups in the US in textiles. They wanted to buy our textiles and set up textile factories here. Very big, I will get their names of those companies. But recently, when I checked, they told me, please don't mention those, or those collapsed. Those big textile companies in the US, they collapsed. Corona yasanyao. Why did they collapse? Because they were called chains. They were called chains in the US. Chains, like, I think like supermarkets. Supermarket, Museveni supermarket, Museveni supermarket, where you go and buy. Now, when Corona came, it stopped people from going to buy. Nobody could come. They all collapsed. Now, how would you bring back those? How would you bring back those? How can, this was not a joke. This was a global crisis, bigger than war, actually. So how would you bring back all those companies? Because people could no longer, because these were businesses built on going to the shop to buy from there. People were going to buy. Even me, when I would go to, here we used to have a shop called Deacons here in Kampala. And in, when I spent a few days in London, there were some shops, I've forgotten what they were called. Marks and Spencer. Marks and Spencer was a big shop. But you had to go there physically. Now with Corona, physical going was out. So what has now actually grown during this crisis is ordering online. Online has now grown. Ordering things online, they bring them to you. You don't go, you order. So the crisis has caused like a revolution. So therefore, don't spend so much time crying this, but we shall put a fund. That fund is there. I will tell the Minister of Finance to elaborate to see how these people can either recover or go to a new line. Yeah. My mother, Esther Kokondeka, died and I buried her. Don't you see me here? Amos Kaguta died. Things can happen and which you must have to forget. Like those business companies in the US, I don't know how they will recover, because even the US cannot have the money to bring back all those companies. It's like an earthquake. If an earthquake comes and destroys everything, what are you going to do? You have to start afresh. Yeah. This was a social, economic earthquake. This one here. So the main thing here is to survive. Now, the other day I had my friend Dr. Besige talking about opening of schools. Schools should be opened. These people don't have a plan. The government doesn't have a plan, because if they had immunized the teachers, the schools could be opened, because the children, even if they get sick, they recover. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Besige. But you have not thought the problem through properly. Actually, the teachers are among our priority list of immunization. And I think many of the teachers have already been immunized, because they were among the first. You remember the first list of Mama Jenna Cheng to be immunized? The 250,000 teachers were in that list. The list of 4.8 million people to be immunized first. The teachers were among them. But the problem, so even if they are all immunized, the teachers, the problem is that not all the schools, very few schools are actually boarding schools. So the children, because that argument of Besige would work, if all the schools were boarding, the teachers are immunized, the children, even if they are not immunized, because they manage to defeat corona, they get sick, but they will, many of them will be healed naturally because of their young life. Although that's not the case, I have heard some of the children dying actually. I have heard about that one also. But the problem is that many of the schools are day schools. So the children study and go back home. And when they go back home, they kill all their parents. Is that what Dr. Besige wanted? Or he had not remembered that? Because the majority of you can check the number of schools, the day schools, and very many more than the boarding schools. So that's why we are saying, please, schools hold on until we have immunized the big majority of people. So that if the child goes to school, gets corona, he comes back, the people at home are already immunized. Now, on the issue of, please, on the issue of corona, the main point is survival. Other things will be lost. We shall suffer losses, but we want to minimize human death. Businesses will collapse. School time will be lost, but I don't want a large number of people to die like happened in some of the other places. Now, the idea of the University Rivers Fund, that's a good idea. University, Tertiary College Rivers Fund. Actually, when I started the Youth Fund many years ago, I had actually started it for university leavers. But when it went to Parliament, with cheap populism, said, no, it should not be for the university, it should be for all youth. So But I had an idea for the university leavers first. Why? This is because the parents spend a lot of money educating these children. When they finish and they don't get jobs, those families really suffer in a special way. Because they invested and nothing comes back. So I was thinking, if a child has not got a job in 2 years, who graduated? That was my plan. But when they took it to Parliament, they said, no, all youth. So I had to keep quiet. Because I can't go to the bush all the time. To fight. They are all youth. They are all youth. Yes, but they are all youth, but this family has invested considerably. Why don't we start with it? We shall come to the other youth. No. So the money was, but Banyanko called it okumemera, to scatter. Somebody told me that in war they call it polo, when you scatter. Give a microphone to Amongi. Okumemera. Omuruganda tukita kumamira. Kumamira. Olw'Abaganda wano. Olw'Abaganda. Kanda bo olw'Abaganda. Naye bano bayita Abaganda abasinga.
Your Excellency, it can be puoro or keto. Keto is to scatter. Puoro is only when you are near and you are putting it near you.
Like in the food you do like this. Like you scatter salt in.
Yes. No, in food it is puoro. Because food is near you and it's in a plate and near. But if it is a wide place, it's keto.
Keto. So
keto. K-E.
Keto.
Yes.
So we keto the whole money. Do we have somebody who speaks Uganda? Jango ano, Omuganda jango tuyambe. Omuganda ono ani? Sokola nye, tukutegere bulungi.
Florence Nachiwala Kiyingi.
Oyo Omuganda ddala. Bakiyita kumamira.
Okusaasaanya oba okumansira.
Okumansa.
Yes, sir.
Ate okumamira.
Okumamira eba nkoko eyagala kubiika magi. Naye okusaasaanya kwe ku kitundu ekinene olina ebintu bitono n'obiteekateeka buli wamu.
Okusaasaanya is just an ordinary word. Nange nkimanyi ekyo. Give us a special one. So there is no other word.
Oluganda lulina ebigambo bitono naye okusaasaanya kwe kwanjalayanjala ebintu byonna by'olina.
Tatuyambye. Because the Nyankwere one is very clear, okumemerera. You have remembered something?
Your Excellency, actually Luganda makes it more contextual. It makes it sound as terrible as you're explaining it. So it is Mansa. Just in Namere.
Namere mwana wange muzukuru.
Yes, sir, ye jajja.
Oya Masaka.
Yes, sir, Balwani Sebu.
Okay.
So Luganda even makes the word sound terrible because what you're trying to explain is how
that's what I was telling you to trying to tell Nachiwara.
Okusasanya is okay. It doesn't bring out the
negativity.
The negativity you are trying to bring out. So Luganda, the Luganda word of that context actually brings out the negativity.
Kumansa mansa.
Kumansa mansa. Where you're just haphazardly, helter-skelter, and you have no proper result from your distribution.
Katao, thank you.
Kale jajja. Omuziro nvubu akabbiro njovu.
Okay. Oyo Muganda ddala. So, my original plan, the youth fund which I started when I brought it to Parliament, was to concentrate on the university graduates because they had invested. Many of them didn't get jobs because they were doing social science courses, and I wanted to see how to support them. But they kumansa mansa. So I totally agree that this time we can now revisit that area and give them something for them. Now, I would like to appeal to you to support the parish model. I know I've been having this women fund, youth fund, but you know, these are very difficult to monitor because there are many, they are scattered. And since they all belong to the parish, why don't we consolidate these efforts at the parish? I heard what Ayeru was saying, that there's no specific fund for the youth. But the youth are the majority in the rural areas. They are the majority. If you really go in the district council these days, the district councils, many of the councillors are youth. They are young people. It's not like in the past when I would go to a district council, you would see many old people in the council. But not, when I go there, they are just young people. Not the youth councillor, no, all the councillors. You call some, you go and have, like, for instance, you call the one of Kampala. Anu go muise, mamuita. Abewakiso ne Kampala, mujewano beba ise abawaka, mujewano babalabe wano maso. Come here and they see you properly. Mujewano maso. Imirao, sigarao ne corona yo. Come forward. About turn. You turn and look. So among these, look at them. Do they belong to the Mzee Mafabi? Come also, Minister Mafabi, come. Now, do these people belong to Mafabi's constituency? Do they belong to Mafabi's constituency? No. So these are the people in the villages. So really you are fearing nothing. How old are you? 30. Ategwe. 28. Ategwe. 27. Yeah, these are the people. This is the parish. So please, let's move. By supporting the parish, actually you are supporting, not Mafabi. Forget about Mafabi. Mafabi's constituency, they're in the houses, they can no longer get out. Except the tough ones like myself. Thank you so much. You go and sit down. So I would really appeal to you let us consolidate, but let's put enough money. Let's put enough money. Let's put at least 100 million per parish in each financial year. In each financial year. Now, the motorcycles, I have no problem. We shall have to buy the new ones. Vice President is here. Increasing the Youth Council budget, I promised you that we shall push it to 5 billion. That's what I told you the other time. I thought they had done it, but if they didn't do it, we shall do it. Now, the issue of amalgamating the Youth Council and the other something and something, that one is they didn't understand. Because you cannot amalgamate. You know, long ago when we did arithmetic, mathematics, they would say like and unlike terms. You cannot mix things which are not mixable. Because the Youth Council is a democratic channel. The Women Council is a democratic channel. The Disability Council is a democratic channel for the disabled. Now, how would you be part of the disabled when you are not disabled? They simply did not understand it. It's not a big issue. We shall sort it out. Now, finally, coming to the theme, innovation and transformation of the food systems. That one is, the issues are clear. The starting point is the poor drying from the garden, harvesting and putting things on the ground, allowing food to touch the soil. We should make sure that food does not touch soil. Harvest and put either on a cemented floor or canvas. Storage, contamination through handling, damage by insects. Damage by insects is a big problem, and rodents and other pests. I didn't come with anybody from agriculture here, but the experts of agriculture should help us with those, because these pests really disturb us. But the other day I was discussing with a group which has got very good, they have discovered a new organic anti-pest formula. Very interesting. I told them to go and try it out in one of the areas. If it works out, it will be very, very good, because it is organic. It's not the other. It's not the inorganic. This is organic. It will revolutionize all this. Infestation by microorganisms, especially fungus, which causes aflatoxin. Here, I would like to give just a rough advice to people. And I don't know why the health people don't do this. I eat ground nuts quite a bit because I like them. I don't eat European foods. I don't eat bread because I'm not a European. I don't eat rice because I'm not a Chinese. I'm not an Indian. I eat kalo, millet. I eat cassava, bananas, the fingers with our meat 2 times a week. Then I eat vegetables and peas and things like that. One of the things I eat is groundnuts, ebinyobwa. Now, the problem with the big, I don't know why these headed people don't really talk. The binyobwa, the groundnuts I eat, are always shelled, removed from their skin on the day they are going to pound them and give them to me and Mama, and then if there is anything left over, they don't cook it. Because you see, when you share the groundnuts and you keep them there open, that's how they attract fungus. And then the fungus produces the aflatoxin. So the medical people should tell our people, nobody should share groundnuts unless you want to pound them and eat them that day. So these shelled groundnuts, which they sell in the market, are very dangerous. The Minister of Health should stop them. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. So you wonder why they can know this and they keep quiet. People just go on. I just remember this, but it all comes from the problems of post-harvest handling. Then you have the limited value addition. That one we are going to cure. Poor marketing. Then confused leaders. They are also part of the post-harvest handling. You see, these confused leaders, I'm remembering this because of the marketing. The market inside Uganda is not enough. The sugar we are producing, the market is not enough. We are producing more. The milk, the maize. So, like one time I met some Banyankore there. They were quarreling with our Indians. The Indians we brought to help them process the milk. Oh, you Indians, you are cheating us. You are, wow. Amategato, our milk. I said, but you people, why do you quarrel with Indians? If you want to process the milk yourself, do it. Who has stopped you? Why do you quarrel with these people? Oh, they are cheating us. They are giving us less money for the milk. My question to them, have you, because you see the internal market is not enough for all these products. So the real market is either in Africa or abroad. But you cannot sell abroad or in Africa if your prices are not competitive. If your prices are high for sugar or for milk or for maize, you are not going to sell in London or in Beijing or in New Delhi. So in marketing, we must be sure that we don't overprice ourselves out of the market. And the leaders who bring cheap popularity, more money, those are actually enemies of our efforts. That is part of the problem. That's why I call it part of the post-harvest handling. Start with the international market. What is the price of the product in other places to the consumer? Then work backwards. You add processing, you add transport, then you see what the farmer can get and remain competitive. So I'm very happy in the speech here they have pointed out that the people who are chronically hungry in Uganda are still 12%. But this will be cured if we do two things: chronic hunger is due to lack of money or production. But there's also malnutrition, which is mainly due to ignorance. Because the foods in Uganda are there, but sometimes the people don't know what to eat. But for the chronic hunger, that can be because of either the people who live in Karamoja because of the harsh environment, or even the people in the towns here can be part of this group. But when we wake up, the way we are talking, many of the families get involved in production in the 4 sectors, then it will be easier to identify who are really chronically hungry, and then we support them in a special way. But now, even the one who has got potential is not using it. So it's a bit confused. Let's clarify it by everybody following our message, getting involved with the support of the decision makers by putting enough money in the parish model, in the UDB for the bigger people who want to borrow, in the Myoga. In spite of the mistakes, those mistakes will be found. The ones who stole the Myoga money will be found. There's enough space for them in Ruzira. They will be accommodated there. But the project is a good one. And then, once everybody is active, using their full potential, then we can discover the ones who are really stuck, who have no way of moving, and we can support those. I thank you, and I congratulate the youth on this day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That clapping is not enough. Thank you so much. Some of us who have been your students, whenever you talk, at least we get something that we should go and tell our people and do ourselves. Your Excellency, we have only 2 things left on our program. One, we are going to have a youth initiative that you're going to launch for tree planting. And I will request the chairperson, National Youth Council, with the chairperson or the head of the MPs, the youth MPs from Parliament, with other 4 members to come ahead, and the President launches that program. 4 members from National Youth Council.
Dear viewers of UBC TV Inspiring Uganda, and of course all our other sister stations broadcasting this live. This is the national celebrations to mark the International Youth Day, coming to you live from Kololo Independence Grounds. You've heard the President's statement, of course, encouraging the youth to engage into production. The President says that the youth, instead of just looking around, participate into production. The President encourages the youth to join the 4 basic money sectors, join the money economy, at least join one of the 4 money sectors, one being commercial agriculture. We know most of the youth do not want to go into the money sector. Let's first listen in to the National Youth Council presenting something.
Chief Justice of Uganda, the Honorable Cabinet members and state ministers, Honorable members of Parliament, the General Secretary of the NRM Party, the UN Resident Coordinator, National Youth Council, civil society, ladies and gentlemen. The launch of the 60 million tree planting exercise by the National Youth Council. Uganda has lost 12% of forest cover since the year 2001. Uganda's challenges are not unique to us. All around the world, forest cover is depleting at a faster rate than ever before, largely due to human activity and inaction of part of the allied society. The Sustainable Development Goals in Goal 11 and Goal 13 envision a world in which government actors,
development partners, and all stakeholders act in unity to push back on the negative effects of our actions or inaction over the last 50 years. The National Youth Council believes that the 10 million youth population in Uganda can lead the way in achieving a better world of action against climate change. We believe our dreams should be big enough to cause physical impact, and our hope should be reflected in introduction of paradigm shift. The 60 million by 2025 tree planting campaign will not only recover much needed forest area, but will also highlight the conservation of climate action to a youthful and interacting world to take up a generational statement. The initiative is inspired by Your Excellency's vision of environmental conservation in this term and hinged to maximum of securing our future through responsible action for attainment for the SDGs. We now invite His Excellency to officially launch this initiative by the youth for Uganda's Leap in Action. Thank you.
There he comes, His Excellency the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to launch the youth initiative spearheaded by the National Youth Council. As you can see, the President definitely will sign on that placard, which symbolizes that he has officially launched the National Youth Initiative and, of course, tree planting initiative. Just to take you back to what the President said, he said that the youth should engage, should join the money economy. At least each of you watching us, the youth watching us right now, should engage or participate in one of the 4 money sectors, one being commercial agriculture, industries, both small and big, services, and then the ICT. ICT is a growing sector, but most of our youth are using it to do lugambo, to do propaganda, instead of using ICT, the social media most especially, to develop and do business on social media. The President also advised the political elite to stop being polite on the youth who are not doing anything. Stop being polite to the youth who are doing nothing. They should engage into projects.
There is somebody who wants to give you
as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, dear Ugandans, countrymen and women watching us live from Kololo Independence Grounds, the Minister of Gender mentioned some of the projects that government has put in place to help the youth develop. There are many, but I don't know who is not doing enough to publicize such projects. Of course, the most popular one is the Youth Livelihood Program. The Youth Livelihood Program. Now this one provides interest-free revolving funds to eligible youth of the age between 18 and 30. They provide funds to the youth between 18 and 30 years. And each youth interest group, with about a minimum of 5 members per group, is provided up to 12.5 million Ugandan shillings to establish businesses, create self-employment opportunities, and of course expand their livelihood. This one started in 2014, as the minister mentioned, and about 169 billion shillings has been disbursed to the Youth Livelihood Program. Many youth have benefited from this. Then the other program, called the Youth Venture Capital Fund. Some of these programs are not very popular because I don't know, whoever is concerned, they are not publicizing these projects government has put forward to help the youth. But there is also that program, the project called the Youth Venture Capital Fund. Now the Youth Venture Capital Fund is implemented through Centenary Bank, and it seeks to support youth access loans to establish small and medium-sized enterprises at low interest rates of about 11%. Now, unlike the Youth Livelihood Program, the Youth Venture Capital Fund now targets individual borrowers. The other one is the interest-free money, but this one, borrowers with valid trading licenses. That one is also there. There is also another project that was put by government to support the youth called the Skilling of Youth in Marketable Vocation Trades. This one is being handled also by the Ministry of Gender. There are so many other projects like the support to the youth in formal sectors, that is the Jua Kalis, which now has over 2,000 Jua Kalis that have already benefited from this. What is happening right now, ladies and gentlemen, dear countrymen and women watching us live from Kololo Independence Grounds, His Excellency, the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is taking a photo moment with the National Youth Council members, as you can see, headed by their chairperson, Mr. Jacob Eyelu. We shall speak with some of these youth, because some of now, like the National Youth Council, has it really done enough to awaken the youth as the council to participate in these programs? Because there are many programs, but you find the youth still walking on the streets without anything to do. We shall speak to them and seek answers from them.
Youth Council give an opportunity to the UN fraternity.
Then we shall have the last one for the ministers. Your Excellency, the Vice President, His Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, and the ministers present. Can you please come forward? The faster we do it. And the Secretary General of the party, of NRM, Mighty Party. Thank you so much.
A photo moment. We are in a photo session. Now what is happening? The
last
President is taking a photo moment with the UN.
The President, with the Vice President,
and now with
the Deputy Chief Justice, plus the Secretary General of the NRA. And that will be the last photo show. And I'll be calling upon the Uganda Police Band. You'll be leading us into the anthems in reverse order.
Okay, now that is a photo session with the government officials. I can see Her Excellency, the Vice President, and the ministers. They are taking photos with His Excellency the President. Also, the President, during his remarks, mentioned about the contribution the government, the NRM government, has had on the youth. One being the contribution of peace and security. Yeah, there are some things that people do miss to point out, more especially the contribution of peace. This peace cuts across whether you're youth or not youth. We go to the anthems.
President has provided lunch for everybody. I'm therefore inviting all of you to the tent at the back. I'll have the ministers first, followed by the UN, then the youth, who are our hosts, will come in last. Everybody is invited for a meal because that's the way His Excellency does it. Karibuni sana. Thank you so much. We thank you. We thank you for having.
All right, dear viewers
function.
of UBC TV Inspiring Uganda, we now come to the end of our today's live broadcast of the national celebrations to mark the International Youth Day that has been running under the theme Youth Innovations for Transformation of Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health. So many speakers, you've heard them, including His Excellency, who was climax the function. You had the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and of course among the things that were highlighted here by His Excellency is mentioning that the NRM government has contributed immensely to the growth of the youth, mentioning among the contributions as peace and security. Peace and security, many people, you take it for granted, but you cannot do anything in a country that is not stable, in a country that has no peace. Yesterday, when we were here still at Colorado Independence Grounds, the President said if the youth who brought us medals we are not practicing or preparing in a country that has peace, they could not make it. He even told them that if you can, go to Somalia and see if you will do whatever you're doing. Also, the President mentioned about the immunization. He said that by immunizing the young people, by immunizing the population has grown from just 9 million at independence to now more than 45 million Ugandans. What a way to end this function today. Thank you so much, all of you who have been watching wherever you've been watching us from. Afoyo Matek Lubankonyi, awadifo Munguni, mwebale munonga, mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala, mwena abadde batulaba nga tubatuusaako butereevu omukolo guno Uganda nga yegasse ku mawanga amalala mu nsi yonna okukuza olunaku lw'abavubuka. Kale nze Dennis Blair Kalanzi. The highlights of this function and many more, you will find them in our subsequent bulletins at 6 with Habari, that is our news bulletin in Swahili, and at 7 in UBC Lero, Amawulire Gaffe mu Luganda, and of course at 8 and 10 with news tonight. I'm called Dennis Blair Kalanzi. I now hand you over to Broadcast House in Kampala. May God bless you for God and my country.